Good evening, everyone. This is Reading for Charity again. A day late. I didn't say anything on Sunday, but I was away on holiday with my family for a few days. So back this afternoon, and that means I can do the review today. One day late. Did however give me some chance to get some books read. Not The Dark Tower. That's going to come at some point, but I need a wee break from Roland and the gang. Still. But it will happen. It will happen fairly soon. So before we get started, what we're doing again? We're reading 100 books for charity, all chosen for me by donation. It's so 100 books, 365 days. It's all for the Archie Foundation. It's a fantastic charity. They help sick kids in the northeast of Scotland. It's a fantastic thing to support. I got a letter through from them last week before I went on holiday, thanking me for the support, including the gift aid. It's over 750 quid raised so far. I'd really love to get that over £1,000. I'd love to get it over £1,000 by the end of this. If anyone can donate who's never donated before, please do. The links to the Just Giving page are in the description of the video. It's a fantastic charity to support. If I can get over £1,000, I will be absolutely overjoyed. That's 500 quid was my goal. If I get £1,000, it'll just be absolutely tremendous. But today's review: A Tale Etched in Blood and Hard Black Pencil by Christopher Brookmyre. Now, if you've seen the state of this book, which is sorely abused, I can tell you this is my wife's copy of the book, and she's the one who donated for me to read this, because this is one of her favourite books of all time. As it turns out, as I went through this, I went, I've actually read this book before, but had pretty much forgotten everything about it, other than when I actually read a chunk of the book. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that, and I flicked it and kept going through the book, and I went, oh yeah, I remember that, and kept going through the book. Oh yeah, I know who did it. Yeah, and it's just, as I went on through the book, recalled more than remembered me reading it previously. Probably at her bequest as well, because again, it's one of her favourite books. If you've never read the book, a quick synopsis of it is: most of this is set during the school days of a particular class of kids growing up in Paisley, or Renfrewshire, I should say, where it so happens my wife is from, and Christopher Brookmyre is from. So there's going to be a certain resonance there, and it flip-flops between their school days and the current day, current inverted commas, where a double murder has taken place, and two of the daft lads from the school have been employed to, kind of clear up the mess, and the police catch them for it, essentially. So the class smart lad is dragged back up from London, who's now a hotshot lawyer, to trying to help out one of the daft lads who is getting pinned for murder, and he never did it. That's kind of like where the story is. So I really liked the bit that's in the modern day section. I quite like a police procedural. Even just like crap telly, like I don't know, CSI, any of the CSI stuff like that. Your average police procedural, I quite enjoy. I quite like him. In books as well, the book form also. So the sections of the book which were in the modern day, when they're talking about Nodsy and Turbo and everything that went on during the murder and the cover up, etc., and the complete and total numpties in the way they tried to cover it up, the murder is just it's fantastic. It's really well done. I really enjoyed those bits. However, that's about maybe 10% roughly of the book. The rest of the 90% is spent going on about the school days and how all these people became these people as they were growing up, and those bits I enjoyed less, not because they're bad or they're badly written or anything along those lines. They're not. They're very well written. I think it's mostly because if you lived through those school days, I think they would resonate more with you than if you didn't. So my school upbringing was in certain ways similar to the school upbringing described in the book, in that the way that lunchtimes and intervals worked, and there was a similar sort of hierarchy of people and bullies, etc., etc. But the actual specifics that make it so interesting to certainly to my wife, I didn't have that kind of strata of hard men. We had one or two hard men in my school, and really that was pretty much it. We didn't get to high school and have the 3 or 4 schools worth of hard men all coming together and competing to see who was going to be the hardest of all of them. We didn't have that. We didn't really have much in the way of scallies, to be honest. We had a small section of them, but not certainly to the levels they are in this book. So the kind of set the teacher on fire style school days I never had. My wife very much did. So she loves this book because it pretty much accurately describes her time at primary school and high school. She's like, she reads this book and she goes, yes, this is exactly what it's like. Everything, almost to the word. These things were said in my classroom. These things were done in my school. I'm sitting reading the book going, yeah, it's a story about school days and there's some interesting characters there. But, it doesn't resonate with me as much as it does with her. Which is a shame because it is a good book. It's a great book. And I have a sneaking suspicion if any of the other Christopher Brookmyers made it onto my list, I think I would enjoy them more than this one, which is sad because I kind of wish she put Christopher Brookmyre has a police kind of procedural style one. I can't remember the guy's name in it, but I would like to read those books. I'd like to get around to reading those books. I wish she put that one on my list instead, one of those on the list instead. But hey, it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I think I've disappointed her slightly by not coming out and raving and ranting about how fabulous it is to the level that she hoped I would. I was completely honest and said, meh, it was good, but I think you enjoy it more. So that didn't earn me any brownie points, but it didn't earn me a slap, so that can only be a good thing. It's a good book. It is a good book. I'm not dissing this in any way, shape, or form. Christopher Brookmyre is a great writer, and he has Scots down completely pat. He writes Scottish, especially Scottish youth, very, very well. Just in the way they speak and the way they act and the things that they would do it's absolutely spot on. It's really, really well done. It's just I kind of lived through that, didn't enjoy it very much. And there's not enough in it that resonates with me to make me enjoy this more than I would, other than it being a good book. I'm not going to go down the route of complaining about it too much, mostly because I like sleeping in a bed and not on a sofa. There's not too much to complain about, to be honest. The actual mystery as to who killed who and what happened is kind of spoon-fed through Jojo, and there's not really much connection between what happened at school and what happened in the murders later on in the modern day. If there had been more of a link, if it had been, you were going through the school days because it had vital clues as to who the murderers were or why they were murdered, etc. I think it would have been more interesting. I would have been more invested in thinking about and reading about the school days. But essentially, the two pieces were completely separate from each other. To the extent where you could have taken one book and had it just as Turbo and Nodsy's school days, or you could have a completely separate and very, very small short story of Turbo and Nodsy, get framed for murder. It's there's absolutely no real linkage between the two of them other than the characters are the same. So I think it's a slightly missed opportunity because you could have had a slightly more exciting book. But maybe it's not aimed at me. Maybe it's aimed at the my wife of the world. The people who did live through it and who are reading it, going about the school days, going, "Oh my God, it was just like this." So yeah, not much else to say about this book. It's quite a good holiday reading. It's quite light. It's fluffy. There's nothing particularly. There's nothing really that stresses yourself when you're reading through it. It's quite a good holiday book or bath book, as you can tell. It's been dropped in the bath several times. I'm guessing now 3 or 4 times. It certainly looks like it's been dried out in the radiator a couple of times. Yes, so the always test. Should you read this book? Yes, you should read this book. It's a good, enjoyable book. If you like reading about Scots in Scots for the most part, it's a fantastic book. If you want to learn Scots, it's particularly West Coast Scots, read the book, because you will learn more West Coast swearing than you ever hoped or wished to, I think. Just from reading this book. It's a good book. It is a really, really good book. And Christopher Brookmyre is a brilliant author. And I think he deserves to kind of be up there with the Irving Welshes when it comes to being discussed about, people who write Scots. Irving Welsh writes Scots really, really well. I think Christopher Brookmyre writes Scots really, really well. Definitely up there. I'd still put Ian Banks at the top of that list for people who write Scots. I think he writes the best. But Brookmyre, Irving Welsh, both very, very good. I'd put Brookmyre up there, definitely. So yes, read the book. It's a good book. If you want to know what my wife's school days were like, read the book and then wonder why she is as sane as she is. She's not. Wonder why she is as sane as she is. I'm getting thumped for that one. Next week being Sunday, is the Search for Wonderla. So hold up here. Which was quite interesting. Which is also, I don't know if you can see it on there, somebody lifted it from the Library of Montreal. So this book came all the way from Canada. And given the fact it's in Canadian dollars on the back, I'm guessing was bought in Canada as well. Which is quite interesting, and now it's in my hands. So I don't know whether it was just taken, never given back, and then handed into a charity shop, or whether the Library of Montreal got rid of some of them, and it's worked out this way. Who knows? It's now mine. Ha! And that will be Sunday's book. That one's read already. That was read on holiday, and I'll be discussing that on Sunday. So yes, the usual spiel. This is reading for charity. We're reading for the Archie Foundation. 100 books in a year. All the books have been suggested by donations from the general public, or people who hate me. Anyone who's going to make me read some of these books must hate me. Yep. Archie Foundation is a great charity. They help kids in North East Scotland. If you've never donated to them before, please do. If you have donated to them before, please do so again. It's a brilliant charity. I'm proud to support them. I will speak to you and all again on Sunday. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching, and good evening.